Hello! In this video I will show you how to make a basic game board for playing my game, Motley Crews. I'll also show you how to make some basic terrain pieces to use in the layout of the battlefield. For making a game board like this, you will need a base for your board. This can be plywood, MDF, even cardboard, foam or foam core. For this board I used wood scraps. You will also need wall filler, some kind of flocking, like sand or grass flocking, PVA glue, masking tape, paint, and paintbrushes. Motley Crews is played on a square board with an 8x8 grid, like a chessboard. Start by marking the grid on the board. I have my figures on 25mm square bases, so the absolute smallest I can make a board is 20cm by 20cm. I like to leave a little room on the edge of the board, just because it looks nice. Make sure the lines end outside of the actual grid, or you won't be able to see them later on. I wanted my board to look a bit more dynamic, so I cut out these stepped hills from foam core board and glued them in place. They don't have an in-game function in a basic game of Motley Crews, but I think they look cool. Now it's time to cover the grid with wall filler. I like to use masking tape to get a clean edge. It should be a bit messy. It's supposed to mimic dirt after all. Next, use a piece of wood or a ruler to create grooves in the wall filler, following the lines you marked earlier. Be precise and try to make the squares uniform. When the grooves have been made, I dip the back of a paintbrush in water and use that to model the area where the grooves intersect, which makes it look more natural. When the wall filler is dry, paint it. I didn't have any cheap brown paint and didn't want to waste my expensive model paint, so I mixed some of my own with cheaper green and red acrylic paints. When the paint is dry, apply PVA glue to the squares where you want your grass. If your glue dries quickly, work in sections to make sure it's still wet when you apply your grass material. For this board I sprinkled on regular sand I picked up outside. You can also use grass flocking, which I did on this board and on this board. There are special applicators for applying flock, but these are overpriced in my opinion. Only get it if you can borrow one from a friend or club, or if you plan to use it for many future projects. If you don't have one, you can sprinkle the flock on by hand or with a sieve. When the glue has dried enough so that you can shake off the excess material, lock things down with a second coat of watered down PVA glue or Mod Podge. Let it dry. If you're using grass flocking, your board is now complete. Well done! If you're using sand, it's time to paint. I'm painting my board in iconic Goblin Green. After that I give every square a dry brush of sand yellow for a classic look. And to finish it off, I painted the edge brown. As an additional detail, I added a few little pieces of foam flocking. And now the board is complete. Before we use it, let's make the terrain pieces. For these you will need foam, XPS or similar, a hobby knife, PVA glue, paint and paintbrushes, and if you want your terrain piece on a base. If you are using a base, cut a piece of foam into a cube that fits on it. Cut it into a blunt pyramid. Round off the edges. Next, cut little triangular arrow shapes in it, starting at the base and getting narrower towards the top. Vary the length of these and make at least one on every side. You can also do the reverse and carve out a triangle protruding from the mountain. With these techniques, you can carve cute mountains or boulders very quickly. Glue the mountain to the base. For a little bit of extra protection, I'm also brushing the glue onto the terrain piece. I'm using Mod Podge, but you can use PVA glue or wood glue or anything really. Just make sure it isn't something that melts the foam. When the glue is dry, we give it a very simple paint job, starting with a dark grey, then a lighter grey, and some white to top it off. The base I paint green, same as on my miniatures. I like my terrain pieces to look like little mountains, but you can of course paint yours however you want. You also don't have to make the terrain rocks, it can really be anything. Trees, statues, walls, cows. Your imagination and taste is the only limit. And that's it. Now all that's left to do is to play a game. Have fun.